I'm Andrew Doyle for GB News. I'm here with Bev Jackson and Kate Harris in their first interview since the decision. Mermaids lost their case against LGB Alliance. Bev and Kate, how are you feeling about this?
Deliriously happy. It's a massive day for us. Huge win, not just for LGB Alliance, but for gays, lesbians, bisexuals all around the world. We couldn't be happier, and it's all thanks to the loyalty of many, many, many thousands and thousands of supporters from all around the world.
But that does make us think, though, why on earth was this necessary? How could this happen, that we find ourselves in court having to defend, for instance, what a lesbian is, when everybody knows what a lesbian is? It is extraordinary, all the money we've spent, £250,000, in order to defend our existence as the only charity that stands up exclusively for people who are attracted to others of the same sex. How is it possible?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Andrew, that this was not a case of our choice. This case was forced upon us by Mermaids and Stonewall, several other groups, although it's true that Stonewall pulled out very early on in the project. But this was just a totally unnecessary vanity project to put across their view that there is only one point of view allowed in the United Kingdom on issues of sex and gender. Now that's directly contradicting the foundations of a civilised society. So we think this is a victory for everybody in the UK, because it just underlines, and when you see the judgment, you will see quite a lot of detail on this, that freedom of thought, freedom of expression underlines what the very nature of a civilised society, and that's what we want, a civilised society where everybody can be allowed and welcome to say what they think and what's important.
Yeah, and as a charity, one of our important charitable objects, the main charitable object, is to prevent discrimination, to work against discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. And, you know, we have to remember 69 countries around the world still criminalise homosexuality. We need to step up, as we have stepped up, for instance, in donating to Pride in Uganda, and also then there's the new homophobia, in which we hear that children at school who are attracted to others, lesbians, are being told, oh, maybe you're a boy. Yeah. This is the new homophobia, so we have to fight the traditional homophobia and the new homophobia at the same time, and that's what we are doing, and we will carry on doing that.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things about the judgment was the discussion on plurality of views. And the judgment says, it's very interesting, that LGB Alliance was determined to put their view across before they were a charity and since they were a charity. And there is no link whatsoever between any damage to Mermaids and, of course, to any others who subscribe to their views. All we did was say, everybody should be able to say what they like in society on issues of sex and gender. And we know we know the fight continues, but today we're celebrating. It's just a marvellous day for every single person who supports freedom of speech.
Bev and Kate, can you hear me at the moment?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, so that people are clear about this, what precisely was Mermaids' objection? This is an unprecedented idea, one charity trying to strip another charity of its charitable status. What was their objection?
Their objection, I think we can look at it in two ways, Andrew. The official objection was that we were not, we didn't fulfil the requirements laid down in the 2011 Charity Act, which is that you're solely committed to delivering on your charitable objects. The opposite is true. But the second underlying reason that they brought the case is because they wanted to knock us out of the park. We have torn up the script of all those who subscribe to what they call the LGBTQIA+ two-spirit community. We say there is no such thing. We will not be bullied into accepting extraordinary ideas that a child can be born in the wrong body. We will not accept an idea that says you can change sex, and if you're a boyish girl, you probably should, or a girlish boy. So that was the underlying scheme, was to shut us up, because unlike every single other QTIA plus charity, who all receive lots more money than we do, we will not go down without a fight. Homosexuals exist. We are happy to be homosexuals and bisexuals, and we just want to shout out loud and clear today, being a lesbian is wonderful, being gay is wonderful, being bisexual is fabulous. Just let us be same-sex attracted and stop bullying us, stop telling lies to children.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that homosexuality is some sort of horrible discrimination, that is crazy. But that is what we're hearing. We're hearing that lesbians are sexual racists for not accepting that some lesbians have penises. Well, we don't accept it. And we're going to carry on saying, no, we don't accept it. And that is not an unlawful discrimination. It's simply homosexuality. So what's happened here is we've got this new homophobia, which is saying, no, it's not kind to only be attracted to people of the same sex. We say that's rubbish, and we will carry on saying so.
So your detractors will say that what you're saying there, you're talking about how gender identity ideology shouldn't be the basis of a gay rights movement. They call you transphobic. They say that's hateful. They throw all kinds of slurs your way. But surely now with this judgment, that should change, shouldn't it?
Surely, what, Andrew?
So
I didn't quite catch what you said there, Andrew. Surely.
Do you think with this judgment, people will stop libeling you as transphobes and hateful and all the other nonsense they come up with?
Well, let me answer that.
Yes.
I wish you were right, Andrew. I think you're wrong. The difficulty for the people who oppose us is that they have no substantive arguments. So they call us names. That they have no other recourse to anything, because if you look into what they actually believe in, it is empty. The emperor has no clothes. So they will go on calling us transphobes, bigots, a range of things. And we've seen this in all sorts of areas of public life, which is so worrying.
And they did it from the very first hour that we formed, because I think they saw the danger. Oh no, LGB, these are standing up only for people with same-sex sexual orientation. Can't have that. Let's call them all sorts of horrible names, and so stop people listening to them. And they have had some success in that, but they're not going to have so much success anymore. The more people listen to us and hear our reasonable arguments, the more people realise that these unpleasant words that are used about us are just nonsense. It's a way to stop people listening to us.
And given that gay rights was secured on the basis of an acknowledgement that there's always been a minority of people who are attracted to members of the same sex, why is it, you think, that yours is the only gay rights group that still holds firm to that belief that being homosexual is same-sex attracted, not same-gender attracted?
Well, precisely because anybody who says this immediately gets a shower of abuse. And it is not pleasant to get a shower of abuse. First of all, you have to be psychologically able to stand up against it and not go completely, not to be just knocked out emotionally. Secondly, you have to be I have to say, old enough to be financially secure that you're not risking your career. Lots of people lose their jobs as soon as they say anything like this, like what we say. So we're fortunate that we're quite emotionally, I think, resilient, and we're financially not vulnerable to the same kinds of financial pressures that younger people are.
But I would add to that, Andrew, that an awful lot of people have no idea that what they're supporting is harmful to gays and lesbians and bisexuals. So I see people wandering around with those awful progress flag lanyards. These people do not know what that progress flag represents to us. They do not know that by wearing that, they are saying that they think that a child may be born in the wrong body. They support experimental medicalisation of children such as me or Bev or you. Most of the people who support this awful ideology that is presented by Stonewall and Mermaids and all the rest of them think that they are simply being nice and positive.
Well, and that is because they have rather cleverly, I have to admit, created this whole language, all these lovely words: be kind, be inclusive, progress, all these words which sound wonderful. Everybody wants progress. Everybody wants to be kind. Everybody wants to be inclusive. Everybody wants to embrace diversity. So they've got all these positive words which make it sound, if you don't go into it, as if they are promoting a wonderful ideology, or a wonderful just kindness, not an ideology, and that anybody who opposes them must be horrible right-wing bigots.
Yeah.
And that is how they have done it, and it's been quite effective, I have to say. But we are fighting back. We will recapture the ground, and we will recapture the language as well.
Yeah, but you're right, Andrew. This thinking is everywhere. We're getting more and more calls from public sector workers who are completely isolated just for having the same views as us. And what we're beginning to wonder is whether it's actually time to have a full public inquiry. Why are children in school from the age of 5 taught a lie that they have a gender identity? That has to be a cause for concern, and we can see more and more parents worried about what's happening to children in school. And then there's the shutdown of free speech in universities. There's network groups that used to be LGB, and this is for employees. They're no longer allowed. They have to include men who say they're women, or the other way around. The NHS, we see this everywhere, and we can't answer the question as to why this has happened, but we think we're going to start asking politicians and others, is it time to understand, to get to the bottom of how this has happened and why we are the only group from the side of lesbians, gays and bisexuals who are speaking up, and why we are subject to so much abuse, why we are so often silenced, so often refused access to the media. And thank you, GB News, for having us on. You are you are very loyal supporters, and I must admit, we really appreciate you, because the other major channels simply won't accept any of our news stories and don't want to present our points of view.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Bev Jackson, Kate Harris, and congratulations.